This is the Discovery 2 that I paid just £1,000 for, and in the last few episodes you see me working my way through all the issues it's got, mainly in the last episode cutting off the rear part of that rusty chassis and replacing it with a brand new item. Let me show you where I'm at right now. So since the last time you saw this Discovery, the rear axle has now been refitted. It's all been refurbished, all the bushes that could be changed have been changed, and everything is fresh as a daisy. You will notice I have got the brake lines hanging here. That's because I've got a little bit of work to do refabricating some of the brake lines here. I also want to drill the bottom of this brand new chassis. Now that is on the advice of some of you guys in the comments from the last video. I asked if there should be a drainage hole down here, and it seems that there should be, and there just isn't. So that's something I definitely need to sort before this car sees the road again. Now, once I've drilled those, I'm going to inject this new part of the chassis with some very special treatment, but you'll see more about that later in the video. The other thing I want to mention in this video is the ACE system. I said about it last time, and I was going to get a load of custom parts made up so that we could rerun the ACE lines and do something a little bit different. That is still on the cards for the future, but in the meantime, we have managed to find a really nice condition set of rear ACE lines. Now, I have taken these back and treated them, and as you can see, they're in etch primer at the moment, but they're going to get some protective treatment put over them today. And when we refit that, the ACE system will in theory be working and live, and then in the future I can upgrade it if I want to. But for this episode and to get us rolling, we're going to fit this refurbished system. So the first thing I'm going to get on with is these rear brake lines. They're pretty much okay. We had to cut one side because it was just a nightmare to get off, and we thought we're going to replace it anyway. So I just need to rerun these brake lines. I think, looking at them, although they're okay at the moment, I probably will redo them entirely at some point, but for now, I think I'm just going to get them all reconnected and looking somewhat smart, and then we'll go from there. Right, so with those brakes now sorted, it is time to drill these drainage holes in the new chassis. I've got everything measured and marked. I've figured out where the proper low point is. So let's start by giving everything a good center punch. Then I'll drill it progressively, working my way up to, I think a 10mm hole will be good enough. We'll see how that looks, but 10mm should be fine, I think. Right, next thing to do is to deburr the inside of those holes, because obviously when the water runs down inside that chassis, we don't want it getting hung up on that lip from where it's been drilled. So I'll deburr that. Also, it looks a little bit drastic leaving open raw metal on a chassis you've just protected. Don't worry about it, because when I inject this chassis later on, everything will be getting protected, including these holes where I've just drilled. Okay, look what has just arrived. Dinitrol. Now, I was actually going to inject this chassis with the same stuff that I've been putting on the outside of the chassis, which is a generic sort of stone chip protectant. But some of you guys in the comments really recommended this stuff for injecting. It's corrosion protection, the same as what I was going to inject. But no, apparently this is the right stuff. So I've got a few litres of this now. So I'm going to inject this inside the chassis. And to do that, in case you haven't done this job before, I'll show you the tool I'll be using. So this is basically just an attachment to my standard chip gun. But this hose that goes on the end of it has got a nozzle with several different holes in it. I'm not sure if that's focused, but I'll show you how it works in a second. But this gets injected into the chassis from various different points that I've got. You'll see me do it, so I can cover the entirety of the inside of that new section, and I'll work my way forward later in the series. But for now, let's just focus on this new bit of chassis. Okay, it turns out this Dinitrol stuff must be pretty thick, because my traditional chip gun with the injection lance just isn't touching it. It won't make it all the way. So I'm going to use my pressure pot. This is something you guys will see me use in previous videos when I use that little wandering lance thing to do some sort of detailed stone chip work. That's also from this pressure pot. In theory, that allows you to build the pressure before it gets shot straight out the end of the gun. So potentially what this Dinitrol stuff wants. So fingers crossed this will work. It's not a very, very different process to what I would have been doing with the old gun. As you can see, I've got a lead, a hose on the end of this gun that gets shoved into the various holes on the chassis. And then it's injected into the bits of the chassis you can't otherwise get to. So let's see if this works. Okay, so I wanted to show you how this worked with the other attachment, but it didn't want to play ball, so let me show you how these injection hoses work, just in case you haven't ever seen it before. Obviously the pressure is built in this pot. Pull this trigger, the injection happens through this little lance with lots of little holes in it. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I don't want to use too much up just demonstrating it, but that's essentially how it works. It kind of goes on quite fine, but in multiple different directions. So with all that explained, let's shove this into the chassis and get everything nicely protected. Okay, bit of a messy job, but we're done. Those chassis legs have been fully injected with Dinitrol, and if you see here, the hole I drilled on this side and also on this side, the Dinitrol is oozing out, which is really good news because that means we've got really, really good coverage inside the chassis. And I also think the way that Dinitrol has formed around those holes at the drain holes, if water does get in there, I think it'll be carried out easier because of that. So really, really good news. Anyway, that's that job done. On to the next. Okay, with that done, it's now time to talk about something a little bit more exciting. My new exhaust system. I have bought a straight through exhaust for this V8. Now let me show you what I've got and explain the plan a little bit better. So I asked in the previous video what sort of exhaust system I should go for this big Discovery V8. There's so many different options and answers from different people. It's very, very hard to decide, but here's what I've gone for. This is a catback straight through system. So we've got everything from a middle box delete. So this massive middle box here is getting deleted by this pipe over the axle around here, and then we've got a tailpipe all straight through, no silencers, so it's a catback system. Now this exhaust was actually advertised as a straight through system for a TD5, so when I emailed the company asking if it would fit, because my assumption is, you know, from the accumulators back, it doesn't matter if it's a TD5 or a V8, it's the same style of system, will this fit a V8? The response I got from the guy was, yes, it will physically fit, but to be honest, it will probably be illegally loud on a 4-litre V8. And I was sold immediately. I think he was getting at the fact he didn't want me to buy it because it'd be too loud for this car, being that there's no silencing in it. Perfect for what I want to do, and I'll explain why. So I'm not actually wanting to make this thing illegally loud or antisocial or anything silly like that. What I'm actually going to do is replace this rearmost part of the straight through exhaust with a separate silencer. So this is just a mild steel exhaust. It's not a stainless, which is something I originally thought I wanted. What I'm going to do is shorten this rear straight section exhaust where the very last bit of the exhaust, the exit would be like that. I'm going to shorten this down and put a stainless back box on it with a nice rolled tip exit, which I think will work really well with the look and style of this car. So although the system is straight through and should be illegally loud, as I'm adding in a silencer, I think it will balance out quite well. But we will find out for sure in this video because we're going to fit this up soon, fire it up and let you know. So first thing I think we'll do, just to find out what it's like with this, we'll fit this whole system as it's arrived, see what it sounds like, and then we'll chuck on my back box to see what it looks like and then what it will sound like in the fullness of time. By the way, I know what you're thinking. It's a mild steel exhaust, not a stainless. It's not as good as it could be. I totally agree. I'd prefer to have a full stainless on this truck. At the moment, I haven't found one that will work with this and isn't absolutely ridiculous money. So this is a really, really good interim solution that will make the car run and sound fine until I can maybe one day change it for a proper, nice, all the way through stainless system. But for now, I think this is going to work wonders. So first things first, let's get rid of this massive center box out of the Discovery so we can start offering up the new bits and pieces. Look at the size of this. So this is going to be replaced by this. Okay, so we're just loosely mocked up, and as I said before, this rear section of the exhaust will be getting changed for a stainless back box, but for now, this is what it looks like with all the boxes deleted, a nice straight shot out the back of the truck, and this is what we're going to hear run first. But before we can run this truck, I need to reinstate the ACE system. So the ACE system, I mentioned before, I plan to upgrade this. I want to get hydraulic lines and various other things done to the valve block. And some of you guys in the comments have been incredibly helpful with that. But for now, and so we can get this thing on the road and working, I've got this set of refinished, refurbished ace lines. You saw them earlier, they've now been coated, they're in perfect condition. So what we're gonna do is reinstate this type of system. So basically the same as it was before, but just in much better condition, so we can get everything running. But in the fullness of time, I will be doing some major upgrades to the ace system, and I'm hoping to bring that to you. But for now, because we all wanna hear this exhaust and the engine running, let's just get this chucked on. Okay, so we've got everything rebuilt now, and this exhaust is on, that straight through exhaust. As I said before, this is how I bought it in the illegally loud setup. Bear with me, I'm gonna lower the ramp a little bit and we'll fire the truck and you will hear just how good it sounds with this exhaust. And then I'm gonna show you the back box that's going on this truck. How amazing does that exhaust sound? But it's about to get even better. You may notice I have refitted the rear bumper on the Discovery, and let me explain why. So as standard, this is where that exhaust terminates, just below the rear bumper, and that'd be ideal if I was keeping the rear section of the exhaust. But I said it's gonna get better, and it is, because I'm gonna fit the back box, and here is the back box. That is what is going on the Discovery. 3.5-inch stainless steel with a rolled tip. Unreal. So that will sit kind of this sort of height below the bumper. Problem with that is, because this is a slip over can, it will slip over this rear section. That's too high at the moment, and obviously I'm not gonna go into cutting bumpers and things, so I need to lower this rear exhaust section slightly. And to do that, I need to do a bit of pipe bending. Okay, after a fair bit of messing about, I've got the back box on there. It's not perfect. The alignment isn't exactly where I want it to, and I'm not convinced on how far in or out the can should be, but I've got it on there, I've got it sealed, and I want you to hear how good this thing sounds. So let's just cut to that. Okay, so as you can see, the exhaust clearly isn't quite right yet. The movement is just needs to be dialed out, and that all comes with the final fitting. But I just wanted you to hear it. I think that's probably the best sounding Discovery V8 I've ever personally heard. What do you think? Have you heard a better sounding one than this? I think that's hard to beat. So the truck obviously hasn't got an MOT yet, so I thought the best thing to do to finish this video would be to take it for a drive around the field. And I'm hoping my mic is picking up the noise this thing makes, because it is just phenomenal. Also, good way to test the new chassis, isn't it? Drive off-road at about 20 to 30 miles an hour and see if anything falls off. So as ever guys, thank you so much for joining me on another Land Rover Discovery restoration video. Make sure you come back next time where things get even better for the Discovery, and this thing will be one step closer to being back on the road and being put to work. As always, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will of course catch you on the next one. Cheers.